For meeting number 6. One person just asked, is this our last meeting? Yes, it is, which is both a reason to celebrate, but also I'm going to really miss seeing you. I think this has become a very cohesive group, and what I mean by that is people have come together with very different perspectives and ideas, and is working well together, which again I think is a reflection of what a community should be, is to be able to come together and share ideas, thoughts, perspectives, and agree agree and disagree well together. So here's our agenda for tonight. We're going to review the data from the community feedback meetings and the online survey, discuss the results, narrow the options to 2 or 3. We're going to kind of just see how the voting goes. We're going to do the voting the same way we did last time. You'll have a ballot for each of the 5, and we'll do 2 of the 5, kind of see how things go, and if there's a nice cutoff between 2 and 3, we'll look at just the 2. We do need to talk about who's going to present the work and the findings of the community advisory team tomorrow at the board meeting. And then we need to spend some time looking at other considerations to include in the presentation, and that could be ranking other needs, because that has been talked about throughout this process, is can we look at, phase 1, phase 2, what are other kinds of things, and we're going to do some of that digitally as well. Okay, so that's the plan for tonight. Before we get into the survey results, want to just go back over the bond history that we've looked at. So we have 2 current bonds that are still in the process of being paid. The one from March 2001, which was the 4-pack elementaries, 4.10, but it is being collected at 2.95. So that has been rolled back. And then November 2007, the 2.05, there was the addition to the high school to eliminate the 16 classrooms in modulars. And that one is effective at 2.05. This was the same slide as before. We looked at some bond millage scenarios that our treasurer, Mr. Ray, put together. So looking at bond amounts from $50 million up to $98 million. And again, the dark blue in the middle is not a recommendation line. Is just simply to separate the different lines there as well. You have that in your handout as well to refer to. Okay, and we're going to stop there for now. Okay, so the community feedback. You have an 8.5 by 14 sheet. It's kind of this color. That is from the community face-to-face meetings. So again, just like the last time, you can look at how someone voted across, and then the votes are tallied down at the bottom. So for options A, B, C, D, and E. It was interesting. I was in a meeting yesterday. There were superintendents from across Ohio and some from Indiana. And I know that you were disappointed that there were, 28 to 35 people at the community meetings, like per each session per week total. That's pretty much what we're seeing across the state. Talked to a superintendent of a large district outside of Columbus, a large suburban district. Demographics very similar to Milford. Said we have community meetings and 2 people show up. Life is just very different today. So I don't think we can be disappointed by this. It's important data for people who came to those meetings. And then also at your table, you have this that I broke my rule and printed it in color because we really needed it in color. Yes, this was in the email. So you had that. Apologize, I was out of district yesterday and couldn't get to that till this afternoon. So this looks at the options A through E, and then also the itemized items as well. So that's in the color packet. And then in the really large handout are the comments. There is a reason they were not emailed to you prior to them being posted online or shared publicly. There are a couple comments that we need to remove. One being where a parent's talking about a child. It's fairly, even though there's not a name there, there's enough information that it needs to be removed. So there's some things like that. Also going to potentially do some FAQs because I think you'll see that some of the comments, one being, I don't know why you people built a new library. You know, how we continue to work on that misinformation as well. I want to keep in mind, everybody keep in mind that take the comments for what they are. Those of you who are in business, customer service, I would even say in my role now, people don't go out of their way to say positive things, but they do go out of their way to make suggestions or give input. I will say that it's a beautiful day when I get a lovely email about how amazing, for example, the fall production, the play was at the high school. So take those for what it is. So I thought we'd do is to take, we'll kind of see how groups are working, 10 to 15 minutes. If you want to talk at your tables, I think that by now everyone knows each other. After you do some table talk, if you want to get up and talk with each other in the room, that's fine. So you really have several data pieces. You have this data piece, you have the charts with the overall, and then you have the separate questions with the comments as well. So however you want to, maybe you want to spend some time individually and then talk. I think that Brittany needs some time to process. Nothing other than you have individually taken this into consideration to help form your ideas, and you've had time to process and talk with others about that as well, because you are going to cast your ballot, so to speak, for your two preferred options. So individually, yes, not as a team, individually. So it's just a way to process. I think that individual work and group work will help you frame what you want to do. Jerry? I can be, yes. Yeah. Yep, will do. Eric? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Correct. And then groups can work on that. And I think what you'll also see from looking at comments about education that needs to occur, because you know in this room that if, for example, operating funds are used to reconfigure elementary schools for preschool, it's coming from one fund or the other. But the misinformation that continues to be, the misunderstanding is about how preschool is required for us to offer preschool for special needs children, and then we have tuition for typically developing students, but that tuition helps offset the cost of the certified teacher. So that's some of the communication that would need to happen. Okay. Clay. Yes, yes, because when we look at high school renovation as a package, it includes everything that OFCC said in 2016 needs to occur to get that building through the next 50 years. So it doesn't mean necessarily that the HVAC was going to last 50 years, but that it would be a building that wouldn't have to be completely torn down and built new. Okay. That's what we've looked at the buildings. By moving sixth grade out throughout all 6 buildings, that ends up leaving enough space. Yes. It's okay.
When we first came together, the plan was that we were, and correct me if I'm wrong, I might have misunderstood, that we were coming up with a facilities plan.
Right.
A master facilities plan. That's key 1. Point 2 is that we would have a recommendation for the next bond.
Mm-hmm.
So are we making a facilities plan and then the bond is the whole thing? I feel like we kind of merged them all together.
I think it's become merged, and I think that's okay. But I think what's become merged is this is what the CAT recommends should be the next step.
So my fear is if we don't have a master's facility plan with everything that the district needs, if, I'm not saying we are, if we go and do it now without any funding, and we're earning that AFAT, or that, the one that we earn credit on.
Oh.
Okay, sorry. We earn the ELF credit, that then, because it's not in a master's facility plan, we wouldn't have a project with 27% to go to.
Because we entered into an agreement with OFCC back in 2000, we will always have a master facility plan. So it's not, the master facility plan is to finish everything that was part of the plan starting in 2000.
Okay, so that's the original master's. We're not redoing what was done in 2000.
Right, we're just updating it.
Okay.
And OFCC allows districts to update as needs change.
If it dropped off today, like an auditorium, like a preschool, like if all that gets dropped off and it's not on the current plan, does that, now it can't be done?
No, it can still be done. And that's where, when going back to the agenda where it talked about ranking other items, that's what I would, from listening and in processing conversations from the other meetings, one of my takeaways is that was the interest of this group to recommend a next step, but also make recommendations kind of prioritizing long-term things. So I think we're all saying the same thing. Jeremy? Thank you. And that's a step where the Board of Education will have to come in. They know and believe there has to be a wrestling facility. That is not an option for the district. There's also not an option for the district to have a weight room and locker rooms. Those are not Those are not just nice to have. They're absolutely required. So it's one of the things that if let's just say one option is recommended for a bond, then the board's going to have to look at, well, how do we fund the other things? And I've been pretty clear. I didn't hear the first part. You can say, we recognize that in some way these things have to be there, whether it's through a bond or whether it's through general fund dollars. But I would also say that it's not, those items are not optional on a school campus. So they're going to happen one way or the other. If they're displaced, they will be replaced. Lisa.
I don't think that we ever got like dollar amounts for putting the Robbins building and the weight room, or maybe that's the two same things, for those two buildings into the new building.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have dollar amounts if we know the success cap is 1.35 million
It was about 3.3.
for the two?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But
Athletics?
yeah.
No.
Yeah. And let's say that on your being the community advisory team, those are very high priority items. It could be that they become part of the new building footprint. There's all kinds of ways to look at that. Jennifer.
Similarly, and I know we're not in the business of architecture here,
Right.
but if an option that is chosen does not include an auditorium,
Mm-hmm.
can our recommendation be that we is left between the two buildings for a future auditorium?
Yes. Yeah.
Like that it's designed to have that down the line.
Yes. Yes. And that is yeah, absolutely. It would be not thinking long term not to do that.
Hallway between the two buildings that needs to be sliced off auditorium.
Well, just the traffic flow changing.
I know, but it's connected. Well, but the whole point of connecting them was like student safety, when students are gonna have to go from junior high to high school to take classes, correct? So if there's no hallway,
Yeah.
we're going to have to exit, which is the whole problem they come down. That's why I was thinking, and I know you're absolutely right, they can play in the hallway and they turn down. But we should build,
We
well,
can.
theoretically, if, I'm not proposing, but I'm saying this is an option that we
Mhm.
could propose. If you build a high school and a junior high with a long corridor closed in between, so students could safely go between the two buildings if they needed to, and then just that hallway could, you know, become an auditorium eventually, like an auditorium could be built out front.
So,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
instead of details, just think of, let's plan for
Right.
phase two. where
Let's
the
plan.
auditorium's
Yeah.
taking place strategically
Yeah.
right here. And not go into detail as to how.
And that's what I'm saying, I know we're not architects.
Right. That's a. Yeah. Yes, yes. Okay. I'm going to start the time, and then I'm going to come around to the tables so that people have time to process. Yeah.
areas, it's really high.
say
Okay, team.
You're saying it would cost $101.5 million to what? And what would that support?
Yes. Like 120. Team. Hey, team. Okay. Okay, team, it's time to go on. So, as always, great conversations, digging into the information, amazing questions, thinking short term and long term, being able to hold both of those ideas together. What we're going to do now is you're going to go ahead and individually determine which two options that you feel like we should delve into more. Some of the conversations I heard were, let's alter a potential option. That's fine, but right now we're going to work on, here are the 5. We can't dig into the details of all 5, but what 2 can we look at? Or 3, depending, again, how it turns out. So you're going to get the 5 choices. Same thing as last time. The boxes are up front. Cast your 2. By person. By person. Yeah, that's a possibility. If there's absolutely just 1 that you want to, just put 1. 2's the max, but 1 is okay.
Would the roof or air conditioning for the high school be covered under operating funds? And I can put 1 out.
It eventually will have to be, yeah. So, which, yes, yeah.
This is actually a compromise, 'cause I really went on a auditorium, but none of my options.
What? What? Okay, team, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more. I wanted to share this information with you because I think it's something that for some, it's a topic of conversation. It's important. I think it's interesting data, and again, it is for you to think about. So looking at like what bond dates are, and then OFCC shares versus a community share, what the millage would be, and then the cost per 100,000 market value. So you can see what that millage is. Ben? No, it's not yet. It can be, yes, but we're. Okay. No.
Yeah, I think this is an important part of your messaging.
Right, and that's where we don't, before everyone posts it, we don't want to get ahead of things in messaging, but it's an interesting concept and things to look at. Correct. Yes. Correct.
And so then what would our total increase be in 20 million?
Right.
40%.
Right.
So we can pay now or pay more later.
Right. That's if we, I've said it, and it's not facetiously at all. If we had a crystal ball and knew what was going to happen, it would make that decision easy. But the fact that the district chose to be patient after 2016, after 2015, 16, 17, and 18, and the same message continue to receive the same message, it makes the decision very, very difficult. I know. Yes. My office, yeah. Yes. Oh, that was bad. Okay, let's kind of, let me see if I can find them. Let's talk through these maybe. So option A was by far the highest one at 27. So let's talk about the three, and then we'll come back to these. Option B, there was a big drop-off, was 14. So 27 to 14. And then option C was 13. D and E were 5 and 4. So I feel safe to say we're going to drop D and E off the conversation. Okay, I mean, that's consensus. That's how we're working here. So let's go back to A. Yeah, A at 27. Let's have some, if we can pull everybody back together, we can have some conversation about option A. So we begin to move forward. Thoughts, things that need to be changed.
Some of the commentary for sure, the auditorium's not on there, right? That's a big component.
Okay.
I'm sure that, and everybody seems to indicate the junior high. So I think those are two big marks that make option A
Okay, okay, so more, a viable option. Marge? Yeah.
Also, option A, in all the comments, everybody was like, why isn't the roof and the AC coming from the operating fund
Mm-hmm,
and not through this?
mm-hmm.
So
Okay,
I think that's the only thing that's left off of A.
okay, okay. Randy?
My group, was, thinking that maybe on A, B, and C, all three of those options, take out the preschool, option. And, no, no, here's how. He's not saying get rid of it. He's saying pay for it from something else. Yeah, we were thinking to leave that out and then accommodate, bring in, money for the new weight room and the buildings that, displace athletic facility. And then, though, later on, when we sell, Miami
Mm-hmm.
and use some of that money then to incorporate preschools into the, element.
Yeah.
You could absolutely just take it out of the operating budget and replace that operating budget.
Mm-hmm.
So we're saying take it out of the bond,
We're not saying don't.
pay for it out of operating costs, sell the building, put it back in the operating costs, you're just giving yourself a low. That way it's
And
not
the only,
listed on
and
the
the only
bond.
justification behind that is
It
it's
still
such a
happens.
point of contention
But
for
then the
people.
athletic is not, and that was the part that.
Just, that's why they're displaced only, displaced,
Mm-hmm.
not the, not the term of soccer field where it doesn't, things that we're displacing.
And my focus is more.
Okay.
I think your perception of that is true. I think that, what did we say, Miami, to bring in sales, rough estimate?
700, yeah, yes, and those are some conversations we've had with the township, so,
That could replace some operating. So
right.
like, option A, I think you have to add the displaced facility for 3.5 to this. I think that you could look at potentially doing a 2-pack instead of 6, instead of 4-pack, be on that tree on the operating this year to say 3.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the displays, that takes 3.5 million on next year, but, build up 6.8. Then you also, you can do the stadium out of operating, which is 1.3.
Mm-hmm.
You sell, well, you sell Miami, which could be a wash there. And then you look at the future HVAC continued projects.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know about auditorium.
Mm.
I'm stuck on that one, I know my thing is good.
Mm.
Some of it's gotta come out. So we gotta be
Okay.
careful.
Okay.
What's the forecast for the operating levy? When is it coming out?
Yeah, we're going to look at those scenarios in just a minute, if that's okay, because we can see if the more we take out, the sooner we'll have an operating levy. Yeah. Not necessarily because we'd be taking one-time expenditures out of it versus ongoing expenditures. Like we know that the largest parts of an operating levy are salaries and benefits. That's just how.
I understand that from a perspective of an operating levy, we're gonna tell you 3 to 5 years, and that's always gonna be the rule. So that's what they have to tell the community, you know, as a member, you have to be realistic, right, and optimistic. But when you look at the realistic thing and you project that out, and you look at future salaries and things, it can go longer depending on how much you take out of it. But you know, you get 3 to 5 year answer. It's been that way for 10, 15 years.
It's, please.
What progress did you guys make about looking at that more space in the junior high, you were talking about that Friday?
Yes.
Talk about that, or is that?
And that's where, no, I would just say that some things are just ongoing conversations that the 4 rooms that were added to the junior high, it cost about $1 million to add those. We've used them for 12 plus years. The original facility plan was to make that a standalone Success Academy, and it was gonna cost over $1 million to do that because it has the water, the sewer, HVAC, it does not have a secure entrance. It would take something to make that a standalone building. Since that time, we've learned that we don't want our Success Academy program to be out in the middle of campus and the students isolated for multiple reasons. So it just educationally makes more sense to have it in a separate secured entrance of a new building that's in the same footprint, but it's not really part of the building, just there. But that out there, there are some possibilities to it. We're looking at the size of it. We think there's some ideas of some athletic things could potentially be there. Also in some different kinds of conversations with some partnerships than what we had 4 years ago, that might make that viable too. But those are, it sounds like I can't give you specifics because we haven't had people at the table. Right. We're still working on that. So we know that it's more than a million because it takes $1 million just to make it a standalone building. Yes. Yeah. Right. So, right. Clay.
One thing about putting the Success Academy in the same footprint besides all the advantages you mentioned is you're kind of future-proofing the junior high a little bit.
Yes.
Because you now have more schoolroom classroom space, and you have the Success Academy. Fast forward 10, 15 years now,
Right.
and you're rebuilding the junior high or the high school, or doing something major over there. You move that into that footprint, and now fill in the additional rooms and just take that for the junior high.
Right, and that's a great point. And I know early on that when we talked about flexible spaces, that there was some focus on, oh, you mean classrooms that have the walls that pull in and out. By flexible spaces, we mean spaces that can for 5, 6, 7 years be used as for one purpose, and then as needs change, and needs are changing more rapidly, that space can then pretty cost effectively be changed into something else. Like right now, we know we need STEM and robotics spaces. 10 years from now, right now, we don't know what we might need in 10 years. Because we wouldn't have necessarily projected or predicted that 10 years earlier. So that's what we mean by spaces that can be quickly, efficiently used in a different way versus just one purpose. So yeah, it becomes square footage in a building. Okay. There's something on the table, and I think it came from looking at and reading through the comments. What the group's thoughts about not having preschool as a separate item. Right, yeah. Yeah.
I would agree as like
Mhm.
all four of my children went to preschool and dear to my heart, people have heard me defend it tooth and nail, but I totally agree. But it is such a lightning rod for the community. The second comment on the paper saying they're not actual students, like what that is to my heart.
Yeah.
They are actual students. I will introduce you to 4 of them. But I do think it's a lightning rod, and if we can fund it somewhere else and it still is done, then that.
And if we take it out of operating costs, we can save the building right back.
Mhm. No, just pulling it up. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. 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 Just add the restrooms, yeah. Morris?
But I think you have
Mm-hmm.
Still, like, all of it.
This is what we need, and this is how we plan to go about doing it.
Yes, Jerry.
Is there any way to accomplish the top box without integrating the preschool? To me, I look at if you're gonna build a new junior high 6 to 8,
Right.
there's no way to, this is a double negative, to not integrate the preschool.
Right.
So when I looked at this, I
Right.
thought, this is all very much tied together. I can't have one versus the other. I mean,
Right.
when I looked at option A, I just, and that's a part of our job, I think, to educate the public, not to sell it today, but to recommend a plan. And I agree with Shelby, I don't think we should do it, we need to be upfront, because there's a lack of trust in a certain setting. There's gonna be no voters, you're gonna vote no, no matter how trustworthy you are. But we have to be upfront with them, I believe, not.
Right.
Yeah.
If we build a new 6 to 8 and we don't move the preschool, then it's, why are they leaving classrooms open
Empty,
and
right.
empty? And now I'm paying to heat an empty classroom, and it doesn't matter.
I think we go back to the votes, the people that came here, 17 were for it, 2 against the option. So those people saw this option, 17 people voted for it, and 2 voted against it, that showed up. Then the people online, it was by far the most strongly for it, 61.5% were for it, 34 against it. There was the number one, out of 1,000 and something people that voted, and said, yes, do this. Now, all of a sudden, you come with an option to remove that, it's the Shelby. I totally agree.
Well, and here is some critical information. Once there's a plan or two that's presented to the board, there is going to be a quantitative survey done, not a self-choice survey. So that will be done, which then they'll have some statistical validity. And that will be a question that is on that survey that's done. So,
The point is less about the validity of the sample size and more
Right.
so about, you asked us to look at this, then when we gave it back to you, you pulled something out and changed it, right?
mhm.
I mean, that's the point you're making, is that's what
Right.
they look for, yeah. So I would agree, I mean, to that point, I think what I hear is, anything that we select should leave as is for the time being, right?
Well, we can also look at the individual polling of each
Right.
stuff. If
Right.
something that's not on there got a huge percentage, then maybe we consider incorporating that.
That's where
Right.
this came from.
Right.
Because we looked at all the pieces individually, and the 3 things that got the best response were the junior high, or what we want to call it, the site safety, and the roof. They got the most positive response. When we looked at all 3 options that we could see, that's why I said we were arguing semantic play hard. We weren't talking about shell game, height.
Right. Well, no, I
We were just sitting,
understand.
no, I'm not that. So, like, we're talking about pulling it out, asking for what people support, get what we can. You know, mom said you can go out for 955 and try to get 956, right? So we try to get what we can, and then do the other stuff that we need.
But then what do we do about the empty classrooms from the 6th grade moving out and they're sitting?
It's not an approach of deception, it's an approach of, let's ask them what the people support, right?
What we're sort of telling them is, we're not asking for a millage for them. We're not asking for you to pay for the moving of the trees. And we are talking out the own assets that we have at the Miami building.
And our thought,
We have to lie about it.
and our thought was something has to be done with displaced athletic facilities. So our thought was the millage that would have gone toward the preschool, that could now be covered in Miami. That at least that could contribute a little bit toward the displacement, which is what we have to replace in the classroom. So the millage might have to
Okay.
increase a little what's there, but not as much as it increases what's there. Does that make sense?
So athletics are gonna be listed on the bond.
I think we need to say displaced facilities. Displaced facilities.
My number 2 option is
I mean, something has to be done. If you're carrying that weight,
Okay, we're going to go ahead and look at option B. Again, that had that had 14, that was compared to 27. Comments, Marge?
This one does not have a success academy
Right.
and also the road committee.
Right. Mark,
We'll have the auditorium added to the big lightning rod.
as a lightning rod. Okay.
You know what's interesting is if you look at B and C,
Mm-hmm.
C is actually ever so slightly cheaper
Yes.
than B. Again, I think it goes back to those hot button issues, right? Is that
Right.
you know, even the more expensive one, for whatever reason, right, got higher votes. So, you know, you identify what was in B. You obviously know what was in E and D, that threw people off, but what is it about C that makes that more appealing than,
Because it's this percentage of parents that walk in that are above the,
yep,
a roof is something all of us live under, an auditorium is something that a small percentage of us use. And that is the core difference between that and that.
So-
But the auditorium,
I'm not
no, I
defending
know,
it
no,
or
I know,
saying
but
no to it.
if we build a bigger one, it could be used for so
Well,
much more.
I guess when you want to try to understand why one's in versus the other, that's probably my hypothesis.
but here was the point I was going with that, is that, so the auditorium sort of flip-flops B and C a little bit. Going back to the preschool conversation, it's in number one, right? It's
Yes. It's in
in
A.
all
Yes.
three of them.
Yep, it is.
So, I would say that's, even though it's a vocal crowd, and I don't know that it's the big hot button issue that will stop.
There's a lot of comments in this thing about it. I think it's not counting.
Okay. Eric, go ahead.
None of us are saying that we want to say that integrating the preschool into the elementary school is off the table, or we're trying to follow the community. We're not doing it what we are. What we are saying here is it's not necessary to expense to do it. It's not necessary to be a part of the bond because it pays for itself with the sale of the existing that, I think, people are saying here is a material distinction that should help
I think if you look at the numbers again, 1,100 people voted, 51% for that option, 31 percent.
So we're also responding to the community feedback saying, why are we giving them free? If we are saying, if we don't need a bond, or funds from a bond, then do it. It wasn't so much.
Okay. Jennifer's been very patient. Yeah.
I think we were also, so there's a lot of stuff in here, the comments, but options A, B, and C, there were statistical majorities, statistical minorities here, but when you look at the individual things, when you look at individual items, and then you look at what people thought about the individual items and what how they were pulled out, they don't match up. B and C don't match the stats that are on the individual items. And I do think, while there's a lot of just, here, there's also a lot of, what is the difference, HVAC and roof? I think there are a lot of arguments here that don't say that's terrible, we shouldn't do it. It's why does that sound like maintenance and it's in a capital improvement budget as opposed to an auditorium that is more of a capital improvement, even though it's not less of a, I've been up for a long time. Sport facility. So we do have to take it, we have to look at all of the things that are in front of us, because option A, B, C tell us one thing, but individual responses tell us another thing, and the comments do have some good and important arguments that show us what education should be out there.
Yeah.
Before the vote went down the first time, I was reading the negatives like crazy, like daily, and focusing on those a lot. I wanted to know, and I was being told, and I was very skeptical. And one of the biggest damning points was through the argument. And we said they had like 7 deadly points in the main argument. And one of the points was the HVAC. They said, I am not going to let you finance for 39 years something after 10 because that's ridiculous. And I know the reality of that, but it's all the graphics.
Right, right,
It's the lightning rod. It's
right.
a huge target.
But then we're gonna have to clearly spell to the community, when we do need to replace those, it will come from operating, and we'll just pass an operating budget, and the operating budget increase that much sooner. I mean, you're either gonna pay
Right.
for the new roof out of the bond, or you're gonna pay for the new roof out of the operating budget. Either way, the taxpayer's still gonna pay for it.
But we won't. We will not get to the unity. We will not communicate. We've already demonstrated we can't reach them, right? And you're trying to, and so what I'm saying is, we've got 10 seconds of graphics that we can put in front of us. And unfortunately, that's the reality. And ironic as it is, 21st century, right? But we got to put our best foot forward, and no big, gigantic, stinking lightning rods that we all know are not legitimate lightning rods. This is totally legit. We get that. Junior high has HVAC in it, but it's just the first thing I see is, whoa, you want to put wax of coat of wax in your car while you're at it too on that building? I mean, what the heck, you guys already know, right? And that was all these people, just one post after another, they're all agreeing with this stuff. And I was watching the whole thing come crashing down on these points. I'm here now, I'm educated now, I can counter this point. Unfortunately, they're still out there.
And they still think they're right,
Yeah.
because they can't see the forest from the trees.
Let's not worry about it.
Yeah, let's go with Randy's comment, and then I'm going to offer where we go from here. We actually still have some more polling to do, because I'm going to have you do some prioritizing individually, digitally. Randy?
Yeah, on the D and E options, that realize I'm not gonna apply.
Right.
What would be a plan, assuming that eventually the 1964 part of the high school, and the media center in the high school, and all of these things that we know have to be done with the renovation of the high school.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't, I mean, I'm saying let's put those back in,
Mm-hmm.
it's just for my own information. What would we do? If we have to have another bond down the road somewhere?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, A bond plus B bond is probably
Yeah.
bigger than total bond, but
Yeah.
perception of.
Yeah, and part of that 2016 plan that was updated with OFCC was to do the replacement of the junior high and all of that high school renovation, which was HVAC, roof. They weren't paying for all of the auditorium, just the stage part of it. The reconfiguring classrooms, the technology, not the tech pieces themselves, but infrastructure. All of that was part of what OFCC was that to be done at one time because of the significant cost savings of doing it all at one time rather than bringing, every time you're staging and bringing equipment is extensive. But, that's not on the table. That's not an option. But that's why it was designed to be done in one fell swoop.
And so the deal enabling, so kick it all out and do it 5, 10 years down the road.
To do it in a big, or it could, it potentially could be chunked out. And I think that the HVAC and roof are, those are items that, they were at the end of their life cycle the last time they were evaluated in 2018 by OFCC. James, go ahead. Yeah. Correct. Only the part of the high school that, so let's say that, heaven forbid, something would happen to the addition of the high school, it could be used on that part. The only things that were OFCC co-funded. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying is, I know it's a far stretch, but to say, to put the bond on there for people who might be sold to it, but at the same time, maybe give them the option to say, look, we have this facility, we're giving them some maintenance, or needed maintenance. We need to accumulate cash to do this, rather than waiting to have to take out a loan. And I say that not because a lot of money.
Okay, so listening to the conversation, looking at the numbers, to me, there's a big difference between 27 and 13 and 14. And there's been a lot of conversation about, let me back up. A was 27, B was 14, and C was 13. Yeah. Yeah. So, as a group, you can decide, two things. Whoever presents, or the team that presents tomorrow, you could present option A as the preferred, or you could present option A and then say B and C were close. That's up to this team. So I don't want it to be up to the people who agree to present. It should be somewhat consensus before we. Jennifer.
And I don't know, you know, I could answer my question, but since we voted,
Mm-hmm.
we had kind of put forward that our preferred options were A and C. I did not realize that there was all of this outplay against using bond issues with HVAC.
Mm-hmm.
And now I already have my divorce because I would have voted for A and B instead.
Yeah.
I mean, I went crazy. So we can move. I did not realize, yeah, I know.
And-
For the record, you could do one for C, and so I would have, yeah, I would have voted for it.
Okay.
Great, so three of us are voting between B and C.
But that means the result.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So that puts it closer. Three of our votes from C are now on B, or whatever that was. So it's 27-17. Okay, so four of these guys. Four. So 27-18.
But you still have to go with A.
yeah, A seems to be the consensus. And then it comes down to, do you want to do B and C, or B or C, or do you want to prioritize other items and present that?
Can we say, create a new plan?
Or just a priority of, these are things that,
Can we say option A with with HVAC coming out of operation, and then an auditorium? Those are the only things that are on B and C that aren't on A.
and then there's other things that we're going to prioritize too, to consider. So, Eric?
Whether we say it's A and C or A and B, in our group, we were saying give the board two options, and then say, these are the messaging considerations, and those are the particular items that they should either say, keep in or take out. And that's consistent with us saying, for the preschool, to
Jenna. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. That's what yes. 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 What? We're going to poll here in just a minute. Yes. Yes. Okay. Hey, everyone, are we okay with that? Perfect. Okay. There. Yes. Yeah. That's right. And I mean, yeah, it's going to be, yeah, I mean, it's going to be public and recorded and reported. So. What? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Once there's an option or two. So that would be like between the board meeting and the October board meeting.
Okay, and then will you, like, communicate that, because, I mean, we're done after tonight.
Right.
We're not coming back together.
Right, but I will continue to be in contact. You're the main points of contact for information. Then those are more specific numbers for a quantitative poll survey as well. So, sorry, just move away from the mic. These were all things that had been sort of items that had been talked about through our past several months together. These are things that came up in kind of the initial high school renovation needs. So the pool HVAC, that's already on the schedule to be completed in the spring because it has to be. Okay, there's no option for that. So we're not even really talking about that. I'm just giving you some information. Those other air handlers, those have to do with the HVAC units, upgrade the 10 through 12 classrooms. Again, the air handlers and the units. The turfing the soccer field, the athletic boosters are going to do that. They are going to do that rather than turfing the baseball and softball fields, which, there were benefits of them turfing the baseball and soccer fields or softball fields because one of those fields would have been large enough for another organization to practice on. Create some 21st century learning areas. We don't know the specific cost because it depends on the area. We know that we've been able to renovate a classroom or two at the high school, and it's been about a $40,000 per classroom renovation to bring it up to 21st century needs. Master keying all the doors, we talked about that early on. That is to make the grades 10 through 12 part of the high school with the same kind of lock system that's in Boyd, Seipelt, and the new wing of the high school. That is where the doors, you can always go out, but they stay locked on the outside. You can't unlock them and keep them permanently unlocked. It's a safety feature that's mandated by OFCC. The new main gym bleachers, those are also scheduled to be replaced because they have to be. It's a prayer every time there's an event that those bleachers are actually going to be able to be pulled out. And that is for not just for athletics, that is for everything that's in there. The new main gym floor, able to hold that off. It's always less expensive if you do the time as bleachers, but the plan right now is to hold that off. And then this was in like an original OFCC idea that, well, if we never replace the auditorium, it is going to have to be renovated. because the seats are really old in there, and you kind of slide forward when you sit on them. So there's renovation of any facility. No, no. There's no room. Because it's in an interior space. There's nowhere to go. Yeah. And honestly, what we've talked about before, the stage itself is too small for one of our performing, like for example, our concert band would not fit on that stage. So, okay. It said other athletic items that that need to be addressed. Yes. Yep. Yeah. Right. 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 We talked about those others, the wrestling facility, weight room, locker rooms. 3.3, 3.5 has everything in it. Amanda?
On the visitor stadium bleachers,
Yes.
I know in the original bond, it was gonna swap. The home side was gonna become the visitor side, and the visitor side was gonna become the home with new stands.
Right.
Does that 1.3 include the elevator that OSHA requires? That doesn't.
No,
we're still not in OSHA code.
Right, but what would have to because when the concrete bleachers were replaced with the current home stands, which is really the visitor side, we got a waiver not to put an elevator to the press box because we said it's not going to be the long-term home side, it's going to return to the visitor side, and we know when the current visitor side are replaced and become the home side again, there will be an elevator. The plan has always been if the new junior high is backed up to that area, then the elevator in that building, which would be needed for the size of the campus to be a two-story building, that elevator would be shared then with the press box area as a cost saving.
The stands in the bond, or recommend that, how does the elevator then get shared if it's something that comes after the junior high? Or do you have to
Just like that idea that you could wait. You'd say that this is in the plan. There could be a waiver. But
No, but can you build a junior high with plans to add the stands connected to it?
yes, yeah. Just like the idea that you could leave a space potentially for the community to say we want an auditorium. So, Clay.
I know, like, I all those athletic buildings that they're moving out of, they put them underneath. The stands were actually a concrete structure.
Yes.
And you put all that space was just underneath the stands. I don't know if that would.
And that is sort of the thought. And it's not necessarily the buildings, but you can do with metal stands. You can still have restroom facilities underneath there and locker room facilities under there. If anyone's been to King's High School, that is how that is set up. Their stadium has, the back of it is their restroom and locker room facilities. It's a great use of space. Makes it very functional. Right. I know. Yeah, storage is beyond at a premium on campus. Matt. It has to be addressed in some way. Yeah. Right.
People don't want to pay for a new stand on the home side, right? But if we could save $3.5 million from the new building by not putting them in the new building, let's put them in the new stand. We're already going to spend $3.5 million to put them in the junior high. Why don't we keep them in the stadium and spend how much more for the stadium? I know it's going to add cost, but it seems like
Well, the conceptual, I think we're saying the same thing, but the conceptual part of the junior high is that building, we're calling it the junior high, but it's that building would back up into the stands. So that square footage needed for that is not included in that junior high square footage.
The locker room, the weight room, that leaves them more
Wait, someone either add it
Yes.
to the junior high or
Right.
add it to a stadium. Which do you think the community would prefer? Should we add this 3.5
Yeah.
million to this building, or should we include it in the new stadium
Mhm.
with real restrooms? Has anybody been to the sport lab? Because some people don't know that we go to,
Yeah.
is it sport lab a need or a want? You know, real restrooms a need or a want?
Well, it's a, well, yeah.
I think a lot of us in here agree with you. I mean, I just want personal, I believe, you could put, if we put $300 million on it, from making it right now, but it's a matter of what we can get people to do and then make sure people
Mhm.
understand that that money's coming from somewhere. We're not gonna either have $3.5 million budget or not have it, it's a matter of where it's gonna be.
Mhm.
Right now, if we don't do the board of recommendation, this is just gonna get added on to junior high.
Yeah.
Nowhere do we have new stands, right? That could make the cut.
Right, but we're gonna, right.
Either we're recommending that A, we should consider these other things, or
Mhm.
A,
Right.
here are things we know should be on the long-term plan.
It seems like we're still missing some things here. I mean, for me, it's, if we don't spend $5 million on a 1,000-seat auditorium, what size auditorium does the new junior high get? Do we not do any and hope to build a new one later at more cost? I mean, there's no auditorium in the new.
Junior highs, yeah. It's a complex program of requirements with OFCC. We could use some of the stage that's allotted, but, you know, there's a whole thing with, we're talking about OFCC, and that's not, typically junior highs do not have a dedicated true auditorium with actual auditorium seats. Oh, yeah, and with that size, you would have 2 gymnasiums, just with the sheer number of students in a building. Right now, our junior high there are more students who want to take physical education at the junior high than we have space for. We're only limited by space, with just 1 gym and 1,100 students.
What's the square footage?
What?
I kind of wish we had this before today, and had known
I think we had bits.
rolled in or
Right.
something,
Right.
What's the square footage of the 3 buildings that are being replaced? Do you have any idea?
No, I don't. I don't. Thanks. Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's more, and it's got storage and everything else in it, so. Yeah. Sorry, I keep, Jenna, yes, yes, yes.
Things that we've discussed, how to pay for the preschool, HVAC, out of operations, will be good fun. Auditorium still, what, a lot of people in favor, some not, based on HVAC, and displaced facilities. Those seem to be the things that we just haven't come to consensus on, that we make the board aware of.
Right,
We're not gonna decide it tonight,
right.
and I feel like that's, unless there's another issue, that, where we can add that.
There is one key issue, and that's communication. I think so, I mean, just, the board, I hope, will see a copy of this as well.
Yeah, yes,
This is very
Right, correct, yes.
General idea.
Yeah.
Try to come up with a plan that we all can agree on, to give them options. Is to say, hey, board, we're gonna say option A, $6.1 million. Okay, and, but these options we give you, we recommend you keep it below a certain amount. I picked 72 million, because 25% from your original recommend, hold the community. So those people that can go talk to Chris Hicks can tell him, hey, we dropped it 25%. We said we weren't gonna drop it, okay? So the next thing is like displaced building, add to the bond. Our recommendation is to add it. They don't have to. Our recommendation is that because it's a displaced building. They're probably gonna do it anyway, regardless of what we say. They're gonna do something with that option. So the Robinson building's gonna be taken care of. The next thing is visitor bleachers. You want to consider for the bond and for operating? What do we want to offer? Or do we all just want a consensus and say, we recommend doing it out of operating? We don't have to do it, but that's our recommendation. And then so on. Like for auditorium, I think there's enough in here to split to say, yes, I want an auditorium, no, I don't. You know, and we look at the community input on that, you know, I can tell you I'd love one, but I'm against it. It's simply because of all the people I talk to. So, but we can make that recommendation, and the board's gonna live with that decision, right? We could absolutely add that. Yeah, the high school. You know, they're still gonna. Yeah.
But isn't that still on the long-term plan? Isn't that gonna have to be addressed?
Eventually, yes, yeah.
So I'm saying, right, because future bond. That's why, well, why are we talking about a future bond right now?
That's the recommendation.
Because that's what we're recommending to the board.
We have the
master
LCC
plan
master
for
plan.
the future
We're
bond.
recommending the priorities that we're doing now. I understand the OC master plan can be updated, but the majority of the stuff is gonna be done. It's just, we're saying this prioritize now, later this. But we give them that on that.
We also need to account for future cost increases too. And moving dirt is expensive, and getting trucks is expensive, just trucking in and trucking out. And so by saying, oh, we're just gonna do an auditorium in the future bond, it's not gonna be $5 million in the future.
Yeah, that's
It's
probably
probably quite a
true.
bit more. So let's keep that in mind.
Yep,
You know,
totally
what
agree.
Yeah.
makes financial sense to do now?
We have to prioritize and we have to do it somewhat cheap and understand that we can't do it all. We can't do it all. So,
Yeah.
what, somebody else, options? Anybody else wanna up, down, add?
Yeah, I'm still kind of pushing for the idea of suggesting in option A that the preschool could be funded out of the operating budget and then that could be refunded through sale of land. So the preschool doesn't necessarily have to go into option A.
Just to get the $64 million out.
And I know there's people, several of us felt like we would like to see A with the auditorium, because it's a massive increase. The auditorium's only been the district decided to go for it, and makes the rest of it so good that people will do it. I feel like a lot of that, people will do it to other.
We also have to consider the domino effect of some of these things too, right?
Yep.
Because if we do build a new auditorium, now we free up space for STEM and robotics or whatever else
High
in
school
the media
renovations
center.
that need to be
And
done.
renovating the high school. So while you want to keep things cheap, it also makes financial sense to maybe spend a little bit more now so that you don't have to spend a lot more later. And you offer so much more to so many more students.
So that would, that would put the high school renovations after the auditorium, after any auditorium funding, the way that you
Yeah, I think,
just conveyed it.
I think we're potentially
Extended day is self-funded. It is a, yes, yes, completely self-funded, and it's already in the schools.
Well, it's in the school, but it's not the taxpayers are paying for it. Is the preschool self-funded?
The preschool is not self-funded. It can't possibly be because we are mandated by law to provide preschool for,
That commenter was saying the preschool and extended day are self-funded, and now the taxpayers are gonna.
right, so it's misinformation. Yes, a misunderstanding of that.
I just don't understand. But in here, option A, preschool is a hot button topic.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, you guys could raise the tuition. I'll pay the extra.
One other, anybody else, I didn't get the HVAC, you're talking about like in the future, that the high school renovation. But it needs to be considered, we're saying. Yep. The high school renovation?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. It's the next round of CAT. It's CAT 2. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Right. Yes. Yes. Yeah. She said the board. That's who she said, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay. Here is.
You mean
I know. This is all good. Yeah, that's good. Yes. Okay.
Would it be helpful for the board
Yes.
if this team made a recommendation for option A and made a list of things under consideration?
Yes. I think I'm going to wrap this up with what Jenna brought to the table, and I think we've all worked through like a great big talkative family, which is fabulous, that this is what the CAT agrees upon. This is what the preferred recommendation is. These other items, we've not reached, the team has not reached consensus on. The board has that input. The board can use that input to make some decisions, and I'm telling you, they're going to take your input very, very seriously. And it may be that we all come back together for a CAT 2 at some point to make further detailed recommendations for the future, whether that's planning something way down the road or these are the things that should come, recommending to come to be addressed early on. That's the point we seem to be at right now. Now the next question is, really need a small team to present tomorrow.
I nominate Rob.
I nominate Lisa.
7 o'clock.
I think Rob is back up.
I nominate
7 p.m., sorry, yes. 7 p.m. Clay. Lisa, Rob. I think no more than 4, because then it becomes to 3. Jenna, here you. Tomorrow night. Right, yes. Yes. Yeah.
I think it needs to be items that we recognize need to be addressed, that we see them as lightning rods in the community as negatives.
Mm-hmm.
And we therefore can't decide which ones.
Right.
But are they lightning rods because of poor communication or misinformation? That's important.
A combination.
I would highly recommend that if you feel one way or the other, call your board members. They're gonna hate me for saying that, but call them. I mean, seriously, they're the ones that vote on this, do a re-election, or they're not,
They're not running. Yeah.
two or,
Yeah.
but call them.
Yeah. Yeah, and the board will not, they will not be voting tomorrow night. Tomorrow night is informational. They really need to make a first vote in October, but the resolution, Mr. Rabe, November. Yeah, so for the,
And that puts us on the next ballot.
that would be for March, and they have to decide that too, whether it's March or whether it's November or whether it's,
The estimator.
yes, yeah. So there's other parts to that.
Because they'll be like, okay, we're not doing this, so OSCC budget. I mean, that's what they're thinking.
Yeah,
Are they all are the board members getting
yes,
these packets?
Yes.
with all the comments?
yes,
Okay, I think
Yeah.
that's great.
yeah.
These open-end comments are great. If anybody, what we do in market research into is called coding.
Right,
One is, I don't want to pay for the preschool. Code 2.
right,
is law.
right.
That would be a lot easier to digest and try to read.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty new. And again, because we will,
Recommend you a local business that
okay. And then with a true quantitative survey, well, that was self-selected.
200 people out of how many people that live in our community?
Well, there were only
it's hard to read this.
280 comments from 1,100 votes,
Right,
so
right. And it's all self-selected. So that's why a quantitative study will be important.
Did
7 o'clock. Oh, sorry. I want to confirm Clay, Lisa, Rob, Jenna. Oh my gosh. That is great. Oh no, you have to be with your son. Okay, Matt will do it too. So, we're not going to, I think we reached where we need to be without doing any other ranking. This slide is in your packet, so I do want to touch on it. It does look at operating monies because I think that the more this group has been educated how operating funds work, the better. But some of this is not set in stone yet. It's showing you some scenarios. So pool HVAC, main gym bleachers, those are real estimates. And then the 4-pack elementary roof project, Actually, at tomorrow night's meeting, there's a resolution to hire the architect to do that for all 4 buildings. You have to hire an architect and engineer for school buildings and roofs. There's multiple materials that can be used, and that's one of the things that architects will be looking at in terms of what kind of material to recommend. And I know, Rob, you said that earlier. It was just put in here so you can see impact on the general funds. But the idea, if there's one type of roofing, it would be done all at one time. If it's another type, it would be over 2 years. But some of this is probably coming out of permanent improvement plus general fund. So that's a reason that you can't just spend down general fund, because things do come that are needed. And, you know, high end is 8 million for you know, that's a long-term solution possibly for the four roofs. And then cash balance, and then you look at other things that could potentially come out of there. So you begin to see, oh, that really speeds up when an operating levy is needed. Morris?
That forecast, you brought,
Yes.
on the same sheet, that's a big item that wasn't on the last one.
Right, because that's been talked about, but it just reached the stage where the resolution is going to the board to move forward on that.
Because when we looked at it a few weeks ago, we saw, 44 million, we saw that we're gonna end up in 2023, about 23 million. We included the site, traffic flow, and we felt good.
Right.
Because we said, we're still above the 250 day.
Right.
Or 90 day, amount. So it just, again, for me, seeing that for the first time, kind of surprising.
Yeah.
That we didn't know about it 3-4 weeks ago.
It wasn't information to be, it wasn't at the point of being a final decision yet.
I think the displaced construction came down on that, but also this has to be voted on, it's not necessarily that all these items are not in there, are they? We voted on for next year's budget?
No, not yet. Because the first step and I actually put worst case scenario for the roofing, because it could be that it's probably going to be a February vote or so, that it could be the lesser expensive option that's chosen. But I put the most expensive in here just so we'd see what the impact was.
And that currently is less than 20 years old, just about 20.
Yeah, it'll be close to 20 when it's being replaced. And, yeah, it's a shingle roof. It's a shingle roof. Shingle roof with massive roof lines. And so yeah. So it could be not quite half of that, but it could be that much.
How will the presentation tomorrow, slide, slide?
If I can meet with the folks for just a couple minutes, would be great. Like right now, and then. Okay. Everyone is welcome tomorrow. I hope that many of you will attend, and we will get this group back together at some point, even if it's just to have